First episode, huh?
Here we are.
All right.
We got a moose.
Got a moose.
I think that's all we need.
Yeah.
The two of us.
Yeah, we're
plus
gonna.
the moose.
That moose is gonna be a mystery for the remainder of this entire show.
Yeah, you don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
We're not gonna reveal it, but
Yeah.
we know, and it's what's making everything happen. Like, just know it wouldn't be the same without a moose. And we have one.
I love a good moose. Hey, welcome to This Feels Funny, a silly podcast about real feelings.
Yeah. We're going to try to be authentic and just be honest about our personal experiences and also not take it too seriously because everybody takes everything so seriously and
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Me too. Well, my name's Tyler Jones,
I'm Kat West.
and we are both, again, just comedians that just love to feel stuff.
I have so many feelings all the time, man.
Yeah, me too. And I like talking about them in a cool way.
Yeah, just being really vulnerable and sad on stage at a comedy show, it's not what people want.
No, and why is that?
Because you just make them sad.
Yeah.
You just make them a little sad
That's
when you're
one of
too
our-
honest about your feels.
No, 100%. As one of our peers says, you should stop crying.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop
No.
crying, John.
No.
I'm going to keep crying forever.
In fact, John, I'm going to cry more.
I'm going to start crying in front of you
Yeah.
instead of talking about it.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? That's a good point because we are trying to avoid making people happy based on what they would like us to be. Not saying that our friend is doing that. He's just teasing. But other
Yeah,
people
yeah.
have that expectation, right?
Yeah.
And that is called people pleasing?
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know a lot about it.
I mean, it's to me, I guess, yeah, people pleasing is when like somebody else kind of, whether implicitly, explicitly says, I want this from you, or they just imply it. We pick up on that and we're like, oh, I will shift and become what it is that you want from me. And that, I said it on stage, the thing behind people pleasing is turns out a lot of displeasure.
Yeah?
Doesn't feel good when you constantly have to put on a whole thing.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a lot where you say it's like a mask.
Yeah. I talk a lot about like feeling like, yeah, to people please and to get myself out in society, I feel like I have to become something that I'm not or
Okay.
hide kind of what I really feel and who I
Yeah.
really am. And then, but comedy has been this really cool way for me to be able to pull back some layers of that and be like, yeah, this is just how I feel about it. But like
Yeah, I
making
love
it
that.
funny, but not, in comedy, you're kind of rewarded when you do some stuff that's like that offends people or maybe
Yeah.
makes them a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There is some immediate feedback of like when you can do it well, it's like, oh shit, I can talk about this,
No, 100%.
and it's really cool.
I think that one of the main things that I think about when it comes to people pleasing is the idea that we are a lot of times first episode's going really well. Get an Allen wrench. A lot of times I feel like what we end up doing is figuring out a way to make other people feel comfortable in the way that they want to. And I feel like some of the times when I'm doing comedy, I try really hard to stay away from this. It's like self-deprecation.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to see you put yourself down,
Yeah.
and they want to see you put other people down. And I don't know
Yes.
what that's about. And it's probably not as related to people pleasing, but it's one thing I refuse to do. I refuse to do it.
Yeah, well, I think that there's something to that. Like for me with comedy, it's related to a lot of other things, but like roasting.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard for me to roast because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
That's cool.
I don't want to be mean.
Mm-hmm.
But also on the other side of that coin, when somebody in comedy is willing to roast you, there is this kind of acceptance that comes with that. Like when you're able to talk some shit and not be like actively trying to kind of poke at people a little bit, there is some kind of like higher level of acceptance.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm willing to make fun of you, then I kind of accept you.
That's fair.
If nobody's roasting you in the comedy scene, like that, I don't know, it's not good.
It's not good.
You're supposed to get roasted.
Yeah.
And you just got to take it. And I'm still just bad at roasting people. I go straight for the throat, and if I'm trying to roast you, I'll say something. All of a sudden, everybody would be sad.
Yeah, everybody's just like, "Holy shit, are you serious?
Damn,
right now? Why did
I'm
you
like,
do that?"
Sorry, I brought up your mother. I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like right now, I mean, if we're gonna just roast Kat, right? We can just do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can.
because you definitely look like you're about to throw a Christmas party at a St. Vincent de Paul.
I got this from St. Vincent de Paul. The sweater.
Fucking nailed it. Am I right?
Exactly. But there's something about like, yeah, roast me. I can take it. And there also is like with comedy, it has come slowly, but being able to roast is like taking myself less seriously.
Okay, that's fair.
And being able to let people roast me is like, oh yeah, I can just laugh at myself about that. Like I don't have to take it so seriously. Like,
yeah. I think that's a good point. I want to see more of not just in comedy, in my own personal life, mostly. More like not taking things too seriously, welcoming criticism. I'm talking like useless criticism, non-constructive, like bullshit where people are just trying to be mean, and then I don't have to like worry too much about it. But as that relates to like people pleasing and whatnot, it's also like this part of things where I'm not much of a people pleaser. I have been when I was younger because I was trying to make my dad happy, which is a whole thing. And that's okay. We all want to make somebody happy. It's why I have big dad energy.
He casually called himself daddy before the pod, and I was like, damn, you really do have like daddy energy, don't you? Oh shit, I have mommy energy.
Yeah. And then we realize it's not about like, I'm not saying like got daddy energy. I've got dad energy.
Yeah, like no, like he made sure I ate, like he asked if I ate before I got here, and I was like, fuck off. Yeah. Not well, but yeah, okay. And I will do the same thing to other people. Like
the moose told me.
Is everybody doing okay? Like is that like
does everybody have everything that they need?
Do we have everything we need?
I did straight up ask you if you needed a beer though.
I probably will after that. Yeah, that is total dad energy. Like you just want a beer? Everybody cool? Yeah, just bring it. Yeah. Got the moose, got the beer, got the
incredible. No, well, here's the thing with people pleasing though, like in relation to even that, I get so like irritated, and you know this about me. I get very irritated with like when things get oversold and over like I don't know the right term for it. You have an excellent vocabulary, so you'll probably be able to give me a better word for this. But we see it like all the time. People say like, "Oh, I'm an ex people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser." It's just me being a people pleaser. It's like overused.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I feel like it's used wrong.
It often is. Yeah.
So like from my understanding, truly like from the more insidious part of people pleasing, it's more like about doing it for the out of guilt or doing it for strictly the approval of others, which not to be confused with that term like a pick me, right? Which I find to be incredibly just like debasing term, by the way.
No, it is.
And people use that to offend other people. It's like, you're such a pick me. Yeah, don't be mad because they picked me.
Everybody wants to get picked. That's that's kind of what it makes that term annoying. Is it's like, who isn't a pick me to some extent? We all want to be chosen.
Right.
But to me, people pleasing, like the insidious side of it, isn't just wanting to be accepted. To me, and this is a heavier way to think about it, but like it's true. It's when you put your own needs last, always.
Yeah.
And so true. Like you suffer inside your own head because you're so much more focused on other people's perceptions or their acceptance or whether or not they like you.
Wow.
Versus being like, for me, just like I did when we started the podcast, I was just like, hey, this is the kind of thing that like, this is how much I can give right now.
Yeah.
And the people pleaser in me wants to say, I'll give you whatever you need, no matter what, like anything's fine, versus saying like, oh no, actually, this is how much I can give. Yeah. Even if that makes that other person a little bit like, oh man, I wish you could give more. And I'm like, yeah, me too, but I don't have it. So like, and that's me kind of trying to step away from the people pleaser mindset of like, yeah, I might not be able to give you what you want. And that's totally okay. That's totally fine.
I love that because what's good about it is like from, again, the insidious side more from like you for your like inner self, right?
Yes.
Because there is like a very direct and sick impact that it can have on other people.
Yes.
It's good to have people in your life that are going to like help hold you to that level of accountability, which we'll talk about in another episode. But I think that for me, when I think about people pleasing, it's I've worked most of my career in like heavy sales, right? And I know your profession has its own relation to this. So I have had to learn, in order to be good at sales, you cannot be a people pleaser. And most people think that that's what you have to do. Like somebody will straight up say to me, like, I mentioned this to you the other night too. It's like if somebody says, yeah, can I get a discount on that? A lot of people, the people who fail in that world are the ones that go, yeah, let me check and see what I can find out for you. And that's one way of handling it. But the first question needs to be, okay, I see that. Do you not see the value in this? Is that why you're asking for a lower price? Or is this about just strictly budget? Help me to understand why you're asking for this.
Yeah.
And that way I have more context to be able to do this on your behalf, not because I need to make you happy for me.
Yes.
Like, I need to make you happy to close this deal so I get my commission. It's more like I need to be able to fully contextualize this so we both win in the way that we want to win. And it's a win-win-win, truly, not like a compromise even, right?
Yeah.
So that's one way I think about it, and I try really hard to get to that point. I'm grateful for that part of my life that has taught me that and enforced it. But you said that your profession, and we don't have to get into the specifics behind it, but you have kind of an opposite thing where it's much harder because you feel like you have to engage in the people please to be more successful at your job. Yeah,
and we can talk about it. It's just not something I like. We've talked about how much do we want to bring of like our careers and like our outside lives to our, but it is something that I can't leave out nursing when I talk about some stuff. Like, but with people pleasing with nursing, you know, you want to make everything better. You want to make somebody feel comfortable. But I've also realized that like a big thing to do to make things better is to be honest when it's uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
To be like, these are the limitations of what I can provide. I wish that I could do more, but this is just actually what is possible. Or saying like, I'm not going to tell you everything's okay. You're kind of fucking up. Like if you don't stop, you're going to get in trouble, man. Like you gotta quit it. I want to tell you everything's fine, but like it isn't. And like being able to bring that honesty, like with you, like, why do you need that? What is it, you know, instead of just automatically going to like, I can fix it. I can make it better.
Okay.
And like, true. Just being able to be like, we can't fix that. Or like, do you see how many patients I have, bro? Like I can't be coming in here every 30 minutes to fluff your blankets. I can't do that. I physically cannot. I would love it if I had, actually, no, I wouldn't. But like, you know, being really honest about limitations and instead of just trying to like smooth everything over it also builds more genuine relationships too. Like
it does. I think that I'm curious to know your thoughts on this too. Cause like from that side, we also have like the negative side of people pleasing and how it impacts others. And then also this wild misinterpretation of the term. So one of the things that, again, I get very frustrated about when it comes to people talking about being a people pleaser is I feel like it's an excuse to say like, I'm not a people pleaser or I'm an ex-people pleaser.
To be an asshole.
Yes. Dude. Or to be just like, not even an asshole like directly, but like selfish as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't want to be a people pleaser. It's like, you're just doing a kind thing for another person.
Yeah.
And the moment calls for you to maybe step up a little bit because it's needed. It's not people pleasing to take the burden off of somebody who I think you should assist with taking the burden off of. Yeah. Don't put your own shit to the side. But like, if you needed something as my friend, and I'm the one who could help to fix it, I think it's prudent of me.
Yeah. So I think with that, like, and I've experienced this in my relationships in the past, you know, I think the problem kind of comes where it's like you stop doing it because you want to please the other person and because you're doing it out of obligation. And then that just slowly builds this kind of resentment.
Yeah.
Because you're not speaking up for whatever your limitations are of what you can give. And then all of a sudden they turn into the problem. And it's like, bro, you never said no.
That's a good
So they kept asking for more. Like, you got to be able to say no,
Yeah,
Kat. And like,
yeah.
that's what I'm learning for myself is like, it's actually not mean. It's actually so much kinder to say like, I don't have space for that right now.
Yeah.
I totally see you. I see that you need that thing. I just personally cannot give it to you. But, you know, here's what I maybe could offer you.
Right.
Here's the level of support I'm willing to go to, but not automatically taking someone else's difficulty or struggle and making it mine
Exactly.
and then getting resentful of them for that. Like, that's silly. What?
Yeah.
You
I
did that to
totally get
yourself.
that.
You're in your own prison. You built the walls.
Well, I think that's a good point to start to go into like some of the segments that we wanted to do too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do our first segment here.
Boom, 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 boom. Brr, brr, brr. Let me talk about shame. Perfect.
Shame and pride.
I'm sure I'm so red right now.
I have to do so much color work after this.
Oh gosh, you
So
have
what
to
we'll
change
do-
it.
yeah.
According to how red my face is.
So what we'll do is shame and pride. This was a really good idea that you
Yeah.
had. So name it. What's this segment about?
So we're gonna have a different topic for every episode, and I like the idea of each of us bringing a shameful example of the thing, and then something that's we're proud of from the thing. So
Okay.
like for me, it's like an example of like me being a people pleaser I'm proud of, and then something that I am not proud of, that I'm like, oh man, I could have done better. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Well, you want to start us off?
yeah. So and I talked about this at a previous comedy show on Pride, actually, where I am being a people pleaser. There were two comedians who were having a little bit of a spat, and it was really awkward, and it was kind of just building in tension, and I just kind of happened to be there. And then at one point they turned to me and they said, Kat, what do you think? And I said, I'm uncomfortable. And goddamn, I was so proud of myself for not like eating it. I was like, you know what? I can speak up. Like I can say like, I don't know. I'm not gonna smooth this over for you guys, but I'm uncomfortable.
Hell yeah, dude. Way to go.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we gotta get some comfort, like some validation. But yeah, I love that.
100%.
I really needed that high five. Thank you.
My life is just gassing people up.
You are the ultimate hype man.
There we go. Ha!
Yeah,
Love it.
We
So-
should do one about supportiveness, because I like giving like aggressive love. Like,
Yeah.
you're so fucking cool. God damn it.
Yeah, you.
Too bad. Oh, you think you're not? Well, too fucking bad. Suck it.
Why do you? Yeah, and I just get like really cerebral about it. Like, why do you think that about yourself? Because nobody else does.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Well, that's a good thing to be proud of yourself for in terms of that. What's something like with the shame then?
So, this is a bigger one, kind of a heavy one, but like it was this moment me and my ex had to move quickly out of a place, and we had to, cause the apartment got dangerous cause there was electrical issues. And so we were staying with other people, and, it was two single dudes. So like, they didn't really give a fuck. Like, it was just like we entered a dude's apartment. They weren't worried about me being in the way, but I was so worried about being in the way or being an inconvenience.
Oh, okay.
And I kept kind of apologizing for taking up space. And one of the other roommates, I did not know well at all. He just like, we were talking, we were chatting, and he just kind of like took a second. He was like, Kat, you know you're allowed to take up space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, fuck you. No, I didn't really know that.
How
God
hard did you
damn it.
cry?
He left and I sobbed.
Okay,
I
okay.
sobbed because like just having someone who was just like able to see me so clearly through
Yeah.
all the bullshit, and then I was like, God damn it, I needed to hear that.
That's good. That's excellent.
And
Oh, man,
and
that's
then
good.
like actually accepting that, and like not being like, oh, I'm just offended that you like. I was just like, wow, yeah, I did need to hear that, and like I'm glad that he told me, but like there was some part of me that held a lot of shame for being like, how is this something that you've offered to so many other people and you have such difficulty receiving?
Yeah, exactly.
Ouch.
Whew.
It was a heavy one.
Ouch.
It was a heavy one. And it was
That
also
is
a heavy
heavy,
time
man.
in my life too. Like we were like, displaced and trying to figure
Yeah.
out where to live, and then relationship issues. And I was like, oh my God, I'm allowed
Yeah.
to take up space.
That's a lot to unpack in one thing. Not saying like that's a lot to unpack in like a bad way. That's just there's a lot there.
There's so many layers to
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
and things that like even I can't fully understand, because I understand like the whole thing of being like the conditioned gender role.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah. I
which
went
is-
back into the
yeah.
like the mommy of the house mode,
Yeah.
like taking care of everybody, and then and you know, just having somebody be like, you don't have to do that. Like,
Yeah, let me get my 7 fishes meal pulled out. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's wild. I think that the thing that like when it comes for me for like that pride in relation to what you were talking about is simply something that I've found myself doing for a while is I'm happy to let somebody know I don't have the space for that right now. I appreciate you asking me, but like showing the appreciation for them and genuinely meaning it.
you are really good at that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I try really hard to make sure that like, hey, I've always despised like HR memos, psychological talk, like where I'm like, thank you so much for asking me, but I don't have the space to do that right now. And basically at that point, without like tagging on to that to show care for the other individual or empathy for the other individual's needs, that's where I'm like, okay, cool. I'm taking care of me, but it's like, hey, please, you can come to me anytime in the future. This is not a rejection. And I find myself doing that more and more lately as I have been showcasing more of my like skills, right? Like videos, photography, and
Yeah.
audio production and things like that. I've kept that very private that I have those things.
Yeah.
And it's nice. But I think that the biggest thing that I get like very ashamed of though is when I find myself attached to another person that I do want to like impress upon in some way, and there's some sort of stakes to it, whether it's a family member, a relationship, especially in relationships. I have a major problem with this, and it's something I'm trying to work on within myself. I have found myself in situations feeling like I'm like, why am I spending so much goddamn money to like almost impress this person who's not asking for it? And it's like I put myself in a situation where, and I'm doing it not to make me happy. I'm doing it to make them happy. But most importantly, where the problem part of people pleasing comes in is so their opinion of me is the one I want them to have of me.
Yeah.
I'll never forget a time like many years ago. I like straight up one night, I have no idea why I did it. I didn't have the funds to do so, and I still spent money that I shouldn't have spent for a girl, you know? And it was like she didn't want me to do that or need me to. We had a good time, but it was like the outcome was bad. And that's the things that I try to remember is like, am I doing this so you have the opinion of me I want you to have of me?
Yes.
That's insulting to that person and to myself. And
Well,
that's where I try to stay. And I feel shame for that sometimes.
something I wanted to bring up with people pleasing is that it is a method of manipulation in some sense, in some ways, you know, that like you're trying, like you said, when you're trying to present yourself differently than how you feel, there is there is like a level of control that you're trying to, trying to make yourself well liked by everyone is just trying to control their perceptions versus being just accepting like, oh, I can't give you what you want and you might not like me for that. Like you might be unhappy or you might, you know.
That's a good point.
And that like letting go of the people pleasing automatic ways that I, you know, relate is me like giving up control of like my perception and accepting, like a big thing with comedy has been like accepting that some people will actively not like me.
That's
and
true.
me kind of sinking into that and like really settling in a way that isn't so personal and being like, oh, it's actually okay if I turn people off or if they like don't vibe with me. Like that's actually a great way to figure out who does vibe with me.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to be pleasing to everyone.
There's so many people in the world and we're so accessible at this point that
it's
like, there we go. So, well, great. We're going to go ahead and we'll wrap this one up.
This was really fun.
This was a good first episode.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with the way that things turned out. Thank you so much for watching. This feels funny. Again, I'm Tyler.
We love you. Your mommy and daddy. You should cut that.
Yeah, I'm not going to cut that. And this is Kat. Yeah. Follow us on Spotify, Instagram, all of the social media platforms, wherever you stream everything. And make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Keep posted for next week. You'll see the next episode. And we'll talk to you later.